Hi everyone, I'm Emily Adams. Here at K9 Bootcamp, we use a variety of training tools in our training programs, and this video is to help you guys understand each tool's purpose as well as how to properly put these on your dog. First, I'd like to talk about the Easy Walk harness. This is an anti-pull harness, and if we are going to use a harness at K9 Bootcamp, we're most commonly going to go with an Easy Walk harness. The difference of this and why K9 Bootcamp might use this over another harness is most harnesses commonly strap the leash on the back of the dog, so it's behind the dog's shoulders, and that gives you're dealing with a lot of body power. The Easy Walk works a little differently. We've got the leash strap here in the front, so this part's on your dog's chest, and your leash straps here on this loop. So when the dog is pulling forward or lunging, what this does is it tightens these two parts here, and then it would turn to direct your dog away from pulling forward. So these can be great tools if you're not dealing with a big, strong, bulky type of dog. Smaller dogs or dogs that just have a little bit of pulling going on, but you're not dealing with a lot of body weight. So how we would properly put this on is, as you can see, is there's two different colors here. So we've got a light silver color, and then we've got the black on top. These will come in all kinds of different colors. They can do red and black, they'll do brown and purple. There's always going to be two different colors, and the reason for that is to help you guys know how to put this on. So your lighter color will always be the color that they want you to put underneath your dog's girth. And then your darker color is always going to go up and around the dog's shoulders, up on top of his back. So you've got two buckles here, and I usually say it's easier just to unbuckle them both. You always want your loop, your leash loop, to be in front of your dog, so this should be on the dog's chest like this. So you can put this around your dog's neck like this, like a necklace, I usually tell people. So you're just going to put this around their neck, kind of like a necklace. It's just going to kind of hang on the dog. And then you're going to take your other part here and strap this around the dog's tummy and under both front legs. So it's kind of around this area here. Once this is snapped here, you want a nice snug fit. You should be able to get one or two fingers through at the most. If these are fit loosely, what you're going to get is a front that hangs, and this won't really help with your redirecting too much. And you don't want this too loose where it's sliding around the dog, because when it's pulling, you'll just get the harness going to slide instead of redirect the dog. So you want to make sure that when you're putting these on, they are fit pretty snug. Another thing that I might mention is sometimes you've got the dogs with shorter legs, and they've got elbows that kind of stick out weird. In this case, I found it better to actually flip this. So instead of having the darker part on top, if you take that and you just flip it, now your lighter part is on top of the dog. This is still in the front, but this is underneath the dog. And what this does is this helps the harness rise higher on the dog. So it's a little bit more under their elbows than it typically would have been if this was on top, because this lets it hang lower. So if you've got dogs that kind of elbow pop out of their harness, it's better sometimes to just flip this around. Either way works just as well. It depends on the dog's body type. Second, I want to explain here a head halt collar. I call these face collars. They're called head halties. Gentle leaders. Gentle leader is a little bit different of a type of model, and we'll go into that a little bit later. What this does is this helps, this works sort of like a bridle on a horse. So if you can control the animal's head, usually the body follows with it. So these are great for really big dogs, dogs that pull, dogs that excessively like to sniff the ground when they're walking, a dog that lunges. So these can be a really great tool. The only thing about these is it does take a while to condition your dog to wearing this. So unlike most tools where you can just put it on and go for a walk, this does take some conditioning and some desensitizing to get the dog used to wearing this. So first, how this kind of works here is we have the nose snout here. So this goes on your dog's nose, sort of like that. And then this is going to go up around your dog's neck part over here, high up above their ears. And then this is going to snap this side. So this is around your dog's neck, this is around their nose. And then here on the head halties, and why I specifically like head halties and work with head halties more other than gentle leaders, is they have a safety loop here. So what this does is this buckle you can take and you can attach it over here to your dog's collar, the regular harness, if they're wearing another training collar, so that if in the event that this should slip off, your dog is still attached to your loop here, and you still have a hold of your dog. On a gentle leader, it works similar. to a head halty. They just don't have this safety loop. So what could tend to happen is your leash would typically go here, and then if the gentle leader falls off your dog, you have no dog. So the dog has that freedom to flee. So I find these a little bit safer. They usually make more of a thicker model, so the gentle leader can be a little bit thinner. So I just tend to use head halties more than I use the gentle leaders. But again, it can depend on the dog and person. So with the head halty, how this usually works is this would be clipped to your collar, and your leash would go here on this loop. And what you would do is when the dog is pulling forward is when your leash has this, now you have direct control of your dog's face, so to say. The thing that we might not suggest this right off the bat to some people is with this one, sometimes we're looking for people that want to go out and walk their dog. They want a quicker fix. If you're working with like shelters or organizations that need fast help, this usually isn't the go-to product because this could take up to a week or two to condition the dog to actually wear this. Or what you might get when you're walking is the dog constantly picks at their face. Some dogs do it so excessively they kind of start going at their eyes sometimes. They can really just fight this and dislike it. So you definitely don't want to rush putting this tool on. How you would kind of condition the dog to using this is taking like a piece of food, getting the dog to eat the piece of food, and then slip this over the dog's nose. You release the food and take this back off. And you would do this a certain amount of times until the dog is comfortable with this just sitting on his nose. And then you might take it to the step where as he's nibbling the food, you would take this around and buckle it, release the food, unbuckle it, take it off, give it a break. And you would do this repetitively, throughout the day. It could take a couple days, it could take up to a couple weeks. It depends on the dog. So again, we use this usually if we've tried other tools and they failed, but it usually isn't the first go-to if we have clients that aren't going to put in the conditioning and desensitizing work up to a week before they walk their dog. So those are the pros and cons about using a head halty. Next, I want to talk about the martingale collar. This is not an anti-pull tool. This is a no slip collar. So how this basically works is when you adjust this properly to your dog's neck's fit, right? It works just like a flat buckle collar, so it's just on as a regular collar. But you have this additional loop thing here. And what this does is when this is on your dog, if your dog should try to slip out of the collar, this part here is where your leash is at. So your leash pulls this in, and it makes the collar become so small around your dog's neck that it's very unlikely that your dog would come out of it. So the important thing about this is you do want to make sure that when this isn't tightened, that this part is properly put on your dog. So again, you want about 1 or 2 fingers in general when your dog is just walking on this normally as it is now. And then when they try to pull out, this should become so tight that it wouldn't allow itself to slip over your dog's head. So this would work great for people who have dogs that tend to be scapegoats, dogs that try to get out of their harness. You've been through every type of collar. This can be very helpful in dogs that try to always escape their gear. Next, I want to talk about the prong collar. This is a Herm Springer prong collar. At K9 Bootcamp, we only use the Herm Springers. This is a higher quality of a prong collar. So you want to make sure when you're using a prong collar, you're getting good quality. So we recommend going with a Herm Springer. This collar works for many different types of things. We're going to kind of focus here on leash walking. So you want to kind of think about if you watch a group of puppies play or interact, and there's the mom dog is in with this group, and if the puppy happens to get out of line or just be a little fresh, what the mom dog can kind of tend to do is use her teeth to kind of put it over the puppy's neck and kind of apply a little bit of teeth pressure to communicate to the puppy that it's doing something wrong or that it should stop. So this kind of simulates the same thing. It's kind of what this idea is based on. This goes all the way around our dog's neck, and when the dog is doing something that we don't want, we have like a negative reinforcer here where the pressure kind of comes in around the dog's neck, and once we're getting what we want, the pressure comes off. So you want to make sure that with a prong collar you are fitting these correctly. You don't want it to be dangling here on the dog's neck like a necklace. It also shouldn't have too much move around space. So you want to make sure that these are high up above the dog's ears, not down low about here. Otherwise it's just doing the same thing a flat buckle collar would be doing. So we want these high up above the dog's ears. We want a little bit of room for this to move, not too snug, but not enough where this is just like continuing rolling around your dog's neck. Here you have 2 loops. You'll see there's 1 loop here, and then there's 1 loop here. This one's sort of shaped like a D, and this one is your actual circle. So you want to make sure that you're putting your leash on the D loop so that when you're doing leash pressure, pop corrections, you have that leash that does this, right? So if your leash is here, this can sometimes get stuck. It doesn't really do the pop corrections like you want it to do. Here you have your links. All of these links can be taken off. You can add links, so this is totally adjustable. You just pop these out. You take the 2 pieces here and you're just going to push them in a little bit. So we're going to have this one go on this side, and then my thumb is going to push this one in until it just snaps. So again, we've got this one here, and my index finger is going to push this one in first to the hole here, and then my thumb is going to take the other side and push that one in until it just pops in there. So we want to make sure that when you have these on, you're not putting this on where this one goes in here and then you're sliding this one in, because as you can see, it's not really on, and this will come off on your walk. So make sure that you're pressing these in a little bit and popping it in to make sure that this is on completely. All right, last we have here the slip lead. The slip lead is great to use if we want to do a little bit of leash pressure training and the prong isn't a good fit for that specific dog. So that's when we would kind of opt to do slip lead instead. How this works is you have your loop here, which goes around your dog's neck. Most of slip leads will come with like a little lock where you can place it so that this kind of keeps this from going only so far, right? And then this part is your leash. So you kind of got a leash collar in one setup. So when you're working with a slip lead, it's very important to make sure where your leash part of this is hanging from your dog's neck. So if this is on my dog's neck and my leash is coming down out of this hoop, when I'm doing leash pressure, it's going to tighten, but then it's going to quickly release. So it's going to tighten and then it's going to quickly release. Now, if I have this on the other way, sort of like upside down, and my leash is coming out, but it's sort of going up and over, what this can do is I'm going to tighten and then I'm going to release. And sometimes what this can do is, you see how it's kind of just stuck there? It won't really loosen. So sometimes what's going to happen is your dog is just going to constantly walk with it tightened. So we want to make sure that when we have a slip lead on, your angle is correct. So if your dog is on your left side, your angle should be where your leash part is coming out of your loop, but it's aimed down and under the loop. So when I'm tightening and loosening, it's going to loosen a lot quicker for your dog. So these come in many different shapes and sizes, many different lengths, thin ones, and then we've got a thicker one here for those of you that just choose something maybe a little bit more thicker and bulky. And again, that would depend on the dog and the client's preference.